everybody, Sonia Rollins for BACC. I am excited to have with me today two gentlemen who are from the Boston Burlington Marriott. Gentlemen, if you could introduce yourself, please.
I'm Chris Normandin, General Manager over at CHOPPS Italian Steakhouse and Bar.
Great.
And I'm Matt Clavers. I'm the Executive Chef.
I am thrilled to have you here for a number of reasons. We have so many things that we do at the Boston Burlington Marriott, but our big event is coming up for the Chamber. Those of you who are watching who haven't been, bring your appetites. The Taste of Burlington has been set for the 30th of September. And CHOPPS is always there, so we thank you for that. But really, more so, I have to say, we just love being at the Marriott, you know, so it's really a great ballroom, and you've been there, you're a staple of Burlington. So for those who haven't been in Burlington a long time, the Marriott is located on Burlington Mall Road, obviously. It takes in a lot of different people, both people coming in from the business community and of course people who are coming to visit. But speak to that a little bit. Speak to about being a restaurant in a hotel and in Burlington. Like, you know, what's that like, having a restaurant inside a hotel like that?
I think the cool part about it is that, you know, you have guests, whether they're traveling from across the country, across the world, maybe they're just coming from 20 minutes away looking for somewhere to hold a meeting.
Yeah.
The good thing is that they can always count on having that same top quality, you know, chef-driven menu, you know, that same exact type of service that they're going to get if they were in Boston, if they're on foot, you know, if they're Ubering, taking a taxi, driving all the way into the city. Yeah. You know, they can get a little piece of wherever it is that they call home, but they can do that right there at the hotel.
Yeah, I love that.
You know,
I love that.
Not really having to go anywhere else.
Yeah, and Chef, speak to he just said it, and it's perfect. It's that high caliber quality of food. You know, people, I'm going to date myself, but you know, in the older days, I'll say, right? You know, people would say like, oh, I want to go somewhere to eat, but you wouldn't necessarily think of a hotel to go. But in Burlington, that's not the case. Speak to the caliber of food that CHOPPS delivers, you know, for not just their people staying in the hotel, but for people coming in.
Yeah, it's we try to keep it. It's more of like a passion. It's one of those that we don't use a lot of like prepackaged product and stuff like that. That speaks to the chef-driven menu. Try to keep to the Italian steakhouse concept, but also while offering some local things as well.
How many people can you seat inside that restaurant? Roughly.
Well, I guess if you count the patio, we're at, what, about 160?
Mm-hmm.
160 people. So you are more than capable of having people come in who are hotel guests, but also having people just step in.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, you have a beautiful bar there, so I think it's like, it ties in all of it together. You know,
certainly.
It ties in if people want to come have a meal, if they just want to grab a drink, if you want to have a little meeting, you have some of that seating, and we're going to Foodies today is going to CHOPPS, so I'm excited about that. It's all things Marriott today, folks. So let's talk about the Marriott a little bit as well. So we, you know, I will say to you as a resident of Burlington, but also as a member of the Chamber for years, you know, the Marriott has always been a long-standing community-driven business that has, you know, kind of dedicated itself to Burlington. The interesting part, and I keep swearing I'm going to stop talking about COVID, but here we are still talking about COVID. The interesting part about that time was obviously the daytime population changed a little bit. And speak to that. Speak to the idea of not only occupancy in the hotel, but the restaurant. You know, how does it look different to you after the COVID days, or how did it look different to you?
Well, I think a big part of that, for one, being inside of a hotel, you're not getting a lot of those same business folk who would typically be at the office traveling, right? You have a lot of people working remote.
Yes.
Good part about that too, though, kind of I'm not sure what the word we're looking for is, but I guess the good part about that, we have individual meeting rooms within the hotel as well, within the restaurant.
Yeah.
People can still kind of feel like they're at a business dinner, even if only 5 out of the usual 20 came out.
Yes.
They can still sit around there. They can have beautiful steak, some chicken parm. Yeah. They can sit there on their Zoom call.
Yes.
Right. They can still kind of meet with everybody there. Yeah. Still kind of feel like how it did back in the old days, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, I mean, I feel like we did. COVID was a tough time for everybody.
Yes.
But I feel like the recovery happened.
Beautiful.
You know.
Do you see that recovery happening? Do you see more daytime coming in, or do you see a lot of that, or at least that feeling coming back where people are looking to come out more?
You know, absolutely. And I think it's one of those. think the only thing most restaurants even might have gained from this
Yes.
is, we kind of had to pivot, kind of adjust your seating, right? Kind of
Yes.
make everything a little bit less, less sitting on top of each other.
Yeah, less congested.
Less
Yeah.
congested. And I feel, once you get the hang of that, once you're moving around, I feel like there's no need to go back to it.
Yes.
So.
I
so
say
for-
that we learned. We
yeah.
actually learned things
We-
from COVID.
yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned how to be friendly, invite everybody in, but also, everybody learned to kind of keep their little space.
Yeah.
Which is cool because now when we do have live music on weekends, it might mean there's a little bit of extra room to dance.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody gained something from, you always find the silver lining.
Absolutely.
But I certainly do find that people are coming back. With the daytime, like I said, that's a good part. We're also kind of in a highly congested, business area. So while we might not have, the usual, the 2 martini lunch isn't coming back ever, I think.
Yes.
But with that being
Although
said,
it was good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it at all.
Right.
But like I said, with that, all that office space, that meeting area,
Yeah.
that's kind of that cool thing that separates us from, all of the other fantastic restaurants in the area.
Yeah, having that
Is-
private dining
exactly.
room.
Private dining room,
is
boardroom.
definitely nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit. We touched on it a bit, and the chamber does a lot to try to, you said it yourself, a lot of fantastic restaurants in the area, right? And Chef, I'll come to you in a minute about talking about some of that differential, but a lot of great restaurants, they each have their niche,
Yeah.
right? And when you have all of that coming together, the chamber, through its government affairs committee, really did like a restaurant group. And the restaurant group doesn't just talk about like, hey, what'd you make yesterday? They're really talking about things that matter to a restaurant. So speak to that a little bit, the chamber kind of bringing all of these great, I'm gonna call it powerhouses. You're all powerhouses in your own right, and you're all coming into the same room to talk about it. Some of the challenges, how is it to be able to be in a room with other people doing the same thing? Chamber's bringing you all together to talk about that, to talk about minimum wage challenges, workforce challenges. Like,
That's a
Yeah.
great feeling, just because
Yeah.
it's we're all in competition with each other, but to be able to come together every so often and just work together on those types of things, I feel like it's definitely a big help.
yeah, I mean, I feel like when you have that ability to have all of those people in the room, you're there, you're talking about events you can do and things like that, but you're also talking about the challenges.
Of course, of course.
I mean, food is a sexy business, we always
Of
say,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a great, look at what I can do, but then there's always, the challenge of workforce.
And it also helps to know what other people are working on to keep you guys in competition with each other.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
Do you think you walk away knowing something a little bit different about each other?
You do.
other?
Every meeting you learn a little something new about each of the restaurants that are around.
Yeah. It actually works out pretty well.
It does.
All right, speaking of which, we are going to actually head over to CHOPPS now. Our foodie segment today is taking us to CHOPPS at the Boston Burlington Marriott. You're going to see these gentlemen again because they're going to show us some great things, and we'll be right back to talk about more. Hi everybody, Sonia Rollins here for Chamber Spotlight. Today's Spotlight takes us to all things Marriott. We're at the Boston Burlington Marriott on Mall Road, where there is a phenomenal restaurant in here that both people who stay at the hotel and people who live in town know about. CHOPPS Italian Steakhouse and Bar is just around the corner. We're excited to show you what's inside. We're excited to be here. I always say to people the Marriott is a long-standing spot, but it's so nice because there's such a great little spot within the Marriott. So talk about the vibe inside CHOPPS.
Now we're sitting in this beautifully renovated lounge that we call the Great Room. You can really do parties of all sizes,
Yes.
hanging out on these nice little loungy tables with getting a little private table over here for 10 to 12. You do
And the
parties
bar.
up to 40, 50 over there. We have a bar. I mean, our bartenders, a few of them have been here since, I think the longest tenured one right now is 36 years.
I love that, and let's talk about that a little bit because it speaks to the caliber of people you have working here. Their business is hospitality, and I love that. And I think that you said something really important because when people come in, even though the vibe, really now it's been like this for a bit, but even though it's a different look, you still see familiar faces. And it's really nice to be able to sit. You can have a meal, you can have a drink, you can have an appetizer. It's just a great place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about the live music. When is it available? available at CHOPPS?
Fridays and Saturday nights. So we'd be hanging out in the same table you and I are enjoying.
Yeah.
Folks, right there towards that front door, we actually put up a little stage. The stage goes up every Friday and Saturday night, showcasing local artists.
And for the people who just like to have a little quiet moment, what I love too is you have that ability for entertainment, or like you said, you could sit somewhere and enjoy a meal. You can sit and watch a game because there's TVs all around you. You know, it kind of gives you the best of everything. But the nice part about CHOPPS is you have that, and you also have private dining available that's in smaller areas.
You know, I think that's such a big surprise to people when they come in. The beautiful private dining room we have over there, kind of cathedral ceilings, right? Windows, you have the windows that overlook the outdoor pool, that it escapes you, you even forget that you're in the area anymore.
Chris, let's talk about the patio in the back of the restaurant. When you step into the back of CHOPPS, it's like you're not even on Mall Road. You're in like a whole different area. Can people go sit out there? Do they have to make a reservation to be out there? Like, how does it work to get out to the patio?
Reservations never hurt, but yes, it is one of those things. You come in, you're more than welcome. When you come in, we're all hospitality, you know?
So if the weather's good, you're going to let people sit out there?
If the weather's good, absolutely. If the weather's bad, God bless you. You know, you're walking through like 4 different seasons, you know, once you hit the hotel. I just suggest, you know, when you walk in, say, I'd like to check out the lower dining room. Because up here we have our lounge, our great room, the live music, a little swanky.
You know, I love that you said that because I think that's important for people to know. When you come and step in here, you can almost request what feel you're looking for as a dining experience.
Absolutely.
Maybe some of the different things that people could come enjoy here.
Once a month, we're working on comedy shows. So where we're sitting right here, this whole place transforms into a comedy club.
Oh, that's great.
We don't try to do it too often because we like to keep it fresh. You know, we like to keep it great. And a lot of time, their comedians are coming in from LA. Also, you're looking at Mother's Day, Easter. We've been hosting a very, very successful brunch. We will do live music for there as well.
And again, that's, you know, brunch is such a popular thing for like a Mother's Day or an Easter, and people need to remember that this isn't just a dinner spot, but you could absolutely do brunches here. This is my favorite part of doing a foodie segment because I get to get behind the line with everybody. I don't get to cook, but it looks cool. So tell us what you're going to make for everybody.
This is the lobster linguine. All right, so we're going to start with some shallot. Little garlic.
What's your take on chopped garlic over garlic paste?
I prefer the chopped garlic myself. I feel like garlic paste has its place. I prefer a roasted garlic paste, which we want a little bit of added sweetness to it.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna add our baby spinach, pan roasted wild mushroom, little salt and pepper. Just give that a quick saute. Watch yourself. Little cognac. Just let the alcohol burn off. Then we're gonna hit it with a little bit of cream. Just gonna let that reduce, concentrate the flavors, and give it a nice sauce consistency to it. Then at this point, we're gonna add our lobster meat. Just wanna be careful not to overcook it. Just long enough to bring that up so it's nice and hot.
That looks amazing.
Then we're gonna come over to our pasta cooker.
Talk about how long you cook pasta for. This is like a big to-do when everybody talks about it.
You do, and it's important not to overcook the pasta.
Yeah.
You want it to be a little like al dente, not mushy.
Yes.
Depends on the thickness of the noodle, and they all vary anywhere from 3 minutes up to 7 minutes.
Fresh is a little faster, correct?
It is. And there you have it. Now we're just gonna plate.
Chef, while you're doing this, I mean, I always talk about this, and I mentioned it to you before. People with allergies. I assume CHOPPS can very much comfortably say if you're allergic to seafood or gluten sensitive, all of that perfectly safe.
Yeah, you're perfectly safe. To be in a hotel, we'll have some groups in here, a good bit of dietary restrictions, whether it be vegan. We'll even go out and meet with the guests if they don't see something that's on the menu, and we'll design a custom dish for them.
All right, so tell me the name of this dish again so people can come a-looking.
This is the lobster linguine. Now we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of fresh basil, fresh parsley, and there you have it.
It's a beautiful thing. I hope you enjoyed today's Chamber Spotlight as much as I enjoyed being here. If you've never been inside CHOPPS Steakhouse, please come by and check it out. There are so many great things to see. Have something to eat, enjoy a drink at the bar, or just sit out on the patio. For Chamber Spotlight, I'm Sonia Rollins. All right, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for letting us go in there, because I always say to people, we can talk in this room, but when we're actually when we're in your house, then it becomes a whole different ballgame.
Absolutely.
So I said this right before we went to break, but Chef, let's talk about food for a little bit.
All right.
Because what made you do it? What made you want to be a chef?
Honestly, it's something I kind of like fell into at a young
Yeah.
age. I've been cooking professionally since I was 14.
Yeah.
It's just the thing I'm most comfortable with.
Yes.
Developed a passion for it at a young age, and just something I wanted to develop throughout my life.
Yeah. Did you ever envision that you'd end up, where did you grow up, by the way?
I grew up right outside Philadelphia.
Okay, so did you ever envision you'd be in a suburb of Boston doing it inside a hotel?
I did not. I
And
did not.
that's the part I really want to drive home, and Christy, you can speak to it as well, but the caliber of CHOPPS is not, meets up with all of the calibers of the other restaurants around. That must be really a great feeling for you when you come in every day and see what you guys are presenting.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I'll say I can't believe I'm not at least 80 pounds heavier than I am right now.
That's to your credit, right? Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those things, when I go out, there's certain classic dishes, you
Yes.
can go into a restaurant and, the building can be beautiful and all that, but sometimes you sit down, you order a dish that word's been around for so long because that's a staple. I was going to say, I think my first day into CHOPPS, I go in, I ordered the shrimp and scallop scampi.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I was like, you know what? I've gone places and had somebody just totally just murder their attempt on a chicken parm or a scampi, a classic dish like
Yes.
that. Sometimes they get a little too pretentious with it. Everybody should take their liberties, but at the end of the day, be true to the food.
To the food, yeah.
And I will say that was like the best meal I'd had in months and months, right?
love
That
it.
scampi was hearty. It was true to form of what a classic Italian dish should be, elevated up, right? It was certainly, it had all the flavors I was looking for.
Yeah.
Had that super homey feel to it.
Yep.
Something that I kind of felt like, hey, you know what? If I was, when they say, heartwarming food, right?
Yeah.
When do you need heartwarming food more than when you're out of town, away from the family in a hotel, right?
Exactly.
And that was like my selling point.
Yeah, something familiar.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's not about doing something crazy or over the top. It's just
Exactly.
they say like do something common but do it uncommonly well.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. All right, so I asked Chef, now I'm going to ask you, what made you get into the food business, Chris?
Well, I went to school for film, and I was not very good at that. So I've been in the restaurant industry for 22 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I was 25. I opened up my own restaurant.
Good for you.
A good friend of mine who's a chef out of Boston opened up he opened up Londana down the street originally.
Yeah.
So we did that. I really fell in love with just, it's a people business.
It's a people business.
You can love food. You can be a person who cooks at home every day and does a great job, but you have to fall in love with the business of people.
Yes.
It's being proud of your home and wanting to bring people into it.
Yeah.
And that's really what that's what the industry is all about.
Yeah.
And I feel like being inside of a hotel, that adds one extra level to that whole, welcome to my house.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because it really does do that.
Yeah, you could take care of them from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed.
I'm so glad you said that because I would have forgotten to ask that. So CHOPPS is open, obviously, all day.
All day.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner because of the hotel.
Yes.
For the public and for so anybody can come in and grab any meal
Absolutely.
along the way.
Absolutely.
All right, because I would have forgotten and that would have been horrible on
And
my
that speaks
part.
to that because we're very busy. It's like Saturday, Sunday breakfast, no matter what the hotel occupancy is. It seems like we do consistently 300 covers Saturday and Sunday. So
Right.
Oh yeah.
we could be at 20% occupancy or 100% occupancy in that business
Yeah.
stays the same.
It stays the same, right? Because it's really, it's a great spot to go, and there's never a parking issue, and there's never anything like that. You go in and you get to have your meal, which is fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, if you're up for it, the weather's right. We have the outdoor pool as well. We have the indoor pool.
Yeah.
We even have a thing called Resort Pass. You know, if you're not staying at the hotel and you want to hang out by the pool,
Right.
you go online to Resort Pass. You book, I think it's like about $25 a day, and you can come and use all the facilities. Join us for lunch. You know,
didn't know that.
we'll serve you lunch outside by the pool.
I'll be like, hi tomorrow. Yeah. Right. There's still a few good Sundays out. You can get it in.
absolutely.
Yeah, you can squeeze it in before the summer's in.
Oh, for sure.
Can we talk about the M Club for a minute as
Oh, yeah.
well? So the M Club is inside CHOPPS, but it's a benefit of Marriott Bonvoy holders, or can anybody go in there?
So what you could do is certain levels of our elite guests through the
Yes.
Bonvoy program.
Yes.
They gain access to that.
Yes.
In there, you know, means you get complimentary appetizers throughout the evening. Your own kind of little feeling of, you know, a little VIP access, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, they have the lounge chairs, the TVs, awesome, you know, cappuccino espresso machines.
Yeah.
But with that as well,
Makes you want to be a Bonvoy member.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's a little
really-
bit of a quieter spot in a busy
Yes.
hotel. Like
Yeah.
you go into that area, it's just a little
Right.
more
and,
quiet.
And for that, people who maybe haven't spent, you know, 50 nights a year with the Marriott yet,
Yeah.
and who still want to just experience that,
Yes.
as part of the booking, you can actually pay for access to there as well. If you
Okay.
just want to get a night to, you know,
So you can go in there.
exactly.
So you can
'cause
add that to your
you
reservation.
can actually
whether
add that to
you're-
your reservation.
Oh,
yeah.
that's fantastic. I want to also touch on the Taste of Burlington, because what you described with the people person, with what the access is, with the banquets, which we'll touch on as well before we finish this, but that kind of ties in everything you're talking about. The Marriott has one of the largest ballrooms around in the area. I'm not just going to say Burlington, in the area. And that's really great because it helps places like the Chamber do it, but also weddings and all of that. So we'll start with the taste and we'll end with the wedding part. But the taste happens every year, of course, and you go in there and you get to show your ware. Chef, I'm going to look at you for a minute, because you've got 24 other restaurants in there with you, and it must be kind of fun and a little bit of like, what are they making? Because what am I going to make?
It is. It is. It's actually, that's my favorite event to do every year.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and it's almost like an extension of those meetings that we have with the other restaurants, where
Yes.
we can walk around, you talk to everyone, you see what they're offering.
Yeah.
And it's just healthy competition. It's a
Yeah.
good time. It
It's
helps
a
to keep
team-
you on your toes.
And I really think it's like a team effort. You know,
It
all
is.
of these
Oh,
restaurants
absolutely.
are bringing their A game, which is beautiful. And then, of course, CHOPPS is there. The Marriott gets to show their ballroom. It's a win-win for us as chamber members, because we get to go in and try everything. If you haven't tried it, by the way, I am going to tell anybody watching, tickets are on sale now, and it sells out. So I'm going to answer the question before anybody asks me on the street. Are there tickets at the door? No. So let's just go with that. Get online, buy them. You can get them from the Chamber's website, but it is really a great event. We're so grateful that you guys let us do that there. But as we talk about the ballroom, you also oversee the banquet side, but there's a chef who takes care of that.
Yes.
So it never really falters the CHOPPS experience,
No.
because both things can be happening consecutively.
Absolutely.
Is that right? The ballroom, do you know off the top of your head how many people the ballroom holds?
We can see total with the side rooms, the suites, and all that. We can see 800.
800 people. Man, yeah, that's a
That's a lot of people.
that's a lot of people, and that's a lot of pressure on a kitchen.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
So it
but
really,
we make it work.
Yeah, and it really speaks in volume to how well you guys do, because honestly, the food comes out spectacular on that side, and meanwhile, there's a restaurant going, and it's all happening at once. We're only in our little world, whatever room we're standing in,
Yes.
but there's a million other things going on at the hotel at
Yeah.
the same time.
You know,
Very grateful for my other kitchen managers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those. There's a billion moving parts to make it work.
Yes.
And there's just so many people that we work with that make all those things happen. Those people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, those people who are, you know, with the 800 seat ballroom.
Yeah.
Just imagine, you know, we're doing 2 events in a day. Those guys just working their tails off. You know, getting tables, switching out tables, chairs. They can do it all in an hour. You know,
Exactly.
you really get your steps in.
You really
know?
get
You
your
get your steps in.
That is the truth. All right, gentlemen, my half hour is over. Thank you both so much for joining me. Boston Burlington Marriott Mall Road. You can stay there, you can eat there, you can have a drink there, you can go to the pool there, apparently. Who knew? So that's great. Look it up. And if you haven't been inside CHOPPS, I hope you go and visit these gentlemen. They do a spectacular job in there. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the Taste. We can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Folks, get your tickets. I don't want to say it too many times. Taste of Burlington is coming September 30th. We hope to see you there. Bring your appetite. For Back Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins.